Yeah, as we said, little blonde-haired children and dogs, like Hitler playing with dogs, like showing he was the caring dictator. But dogs were of special great significance of Hitler. There were some personal reasons in the background. Reportedly, his father beat and mistreated the family dog at home, like quite brutally. Hitler himself stated this later. And later we had the report that Hitler had all job candidates checked to or job determine whether they were animal or dog abusers or not. So that's also true. Yes, in short, according to Langer, people saw him as the person they want to have as the ideal family member, something they probably would not confirm after the Second World War. After World War, Hitler was perceived by the masses as a monster, as we know. Then things changed. But going back in time, in his 20s, he never appeared in splendor as a withdrawn ruler, also later in the 30s, in a palace separated from the people. But simply he presented himself, or tried to present, like an ordinary man from the street. People believed that he worked hard, that nothing can distract him, and that he worked from early morning until late night. In his decisions, he was resolute and persistent. I'm not saying that he was like that, but I'm saying that people perceived him through the propaganda like that. Like he was the guy who never changed his mind. He made up the mind of something, then he is straight and always took full responsibility. This is at least an opinion, clearly a masculine trait. So we have here masculine attractive traits for the massa, and people are attracted to these masculine traits and fascinated because why? Because everybody knows it. We all struggle with this. Yeah, we all wanted to be like persistent, not changing mind, to take responsibility, and at the end we know how difficult this is. Yes, everybody can imagine, can identify with the problems. See, but this guy is different. He also presented himself as the peacemaker, as I thought. Yeah, the threat, there's a threat domination, Bolshevik. I think I'm bringing the peace, and I'm a patient guy also. Someone who did not want war. He is only an artist. He wants to create something new for everybody. Find life. At the end, we know that he did not want war. Is maybe like it did a problematic statement. His courage was also a topic. Yeah, they also tried to present him. Also, I'm speaking always about through propaganda or through his own propaganda. That his courage was big. He had the highest decoration from First World War One, always showing on his breast. Iron Cross, Eisernes Kreuz, first class in 1914, after the Battle of Ypres. And then in 1918, he get again the highest decoration, Iron Cross, second class, yeah, which he always proudly pinned on his coat, especially showing his bravery in the last year of the war. For him, they also tried to show loyalty and justice stood in the center. Meine Ehre heißt Treue. My honor is loyalty. This was also the statement of the SS movement. And Heinrich Himmler, we know that every SS man wore this on his belt. Ja, meine Ehre heißt Treue. Hoffmann, Hitler's friend and photographer, wrote in his 1932 published book about Hitler. It is a book full of photographs, but he is also showing Hitler to the masses. And he writes there the following, I read. Whether he is surrounded by workers from the street or stands in despair at the grave of his murdered comrades, in him there is always that nobility and the deepest humanity, that unique personality, the great and good man. Yeah, we see a propaganda cannot formulate it better than Hoffmann did. It is at his highest. Yeah, we can say it is propaganda at his highest. A completely modest man as he presented himself, he did not take salary, but lived only from the income of his book, Mein Kampf. I don't need a salary as a politician. I have written a book, and that's quite fair. But the masses didn't know that the income from Mein Kampf alone, there were today in euros, when we calculate, it was I don't know, maybe 50 millions euros. He earned a lot of money from the sale of the copies of Mein Kampf. But even more money he made with the printing of stamps with his likeness. After 1941, the German postal office, they printed stamps, the Hitler stamps, and he get a lot of money from this. Yeah, copyright, yeah, from his photo on the stamp. Walter Langer speaks also of another things, of the messianic, ascetic, and medieval traits. Yeah. After coming to power, he convinced his followers with achievements. For example, reducing unemployment, building kilometers of highways, and being the only one publicly responsible for everything accomplished. So they presented everything what was made positive. It was him. It was him. Whenever a mistake occurred or there was a big problem, also like the Stalingrad defeat and so on, it was always the blame of the advisors. He had bad advisors. It was not him. He had bad assistants. It is their blame. His image became increasingly religious, as huge photographs were displayed in the shop windows of in the streets. Reverence often crossed boundaries, and many regarded him as a religious figure, serving as a substitute for faith to those whom the church had raised for centuries. We can say before they went to church and now they went to Hitler's speeches. Hitler was called God's mantle. Yeah, the embodiment of Holy Germany. That were like the propaganda called him like this. From many quarters, new divine revelation appeared. Hitler as a new faith. We don't need priests. We communicate directly with God through Adolf Hitler, said, for example, the mayor of Hamburg. Yeah, that was one of official statement of a mayor. The German Christians, this was a Protestant reform movement founded by the Nazis themselves. So it was like part of the Nazi movement, like sympathizing. They had a saying, these German Christians: Hitler's word is God's law. His laws have divine authority. Yeah, we see they saw him maybe like a new Moses. Yeah, Hitler was the Holy Spirit, and so on and so on. This is all what I'm telling now. This is all opinions which we can read and which circulated in Germany in the 30s. A great number of reports appeared about fanatical religious followers, even. Yeah, even that. I said there were really fanatical religious followers, we can call them themselves, we can call them. They were described by American journalists as such, and these followers stated they followed Hitler like as Hitler being Jesus, and Röhm as Judas who betrayed the Führer. That Röhm was the SR leader who was murdered by Hitler in the 1934 Röhm Putsch. In summary, now to sum up everything, I gave you a lot of examples proving that Hitler projected a completely positive image to his audience, to the ordinary people from the street who listened to him speak, to listen to his speeches. They received and felt, yeah, Romans almost stoic universal virtues, modesty, honesty, loyalty, masculine qualities like the father figure, strength, willpower, energy, all that people needed in a country that after World War One stood in a crisis, stood on the edge of social and economic collapse also, in a country torn by civil war while the Weimar Republic struggled to recover from violence. Then there was his talent we mentioned for for the mass hypnosis, which he practiced and which ultimately led to him becoming this religiously venerated figure, like a cult leader, like a religious prophet. And yeah, that was all we mentioned now. We can maybe find more and more examples, but all I wanted to do is now to give you an imagination about how Hitler was received by the masses in this time when he yeah, went up to power. Thank you very much, my friends.